right now it seems like everywhere we look and every time we talk about new construction homes, all of these builders right now are offering these rate buydowns, right? You'll see them advertised on social media, 3.99, 4.99, 5.49 fixed. And you look at those and it's like, what does that even mean? And how does this impact me? And how do I make this make sense? And is this legitimate? Is it a scam? Because all of my friends are talking about rates are upwards in the 6s or the 7s and it's unaffordable. So today I want to give you a kind of a brief overview of how these builder buydowns work and why they're important, I think, in the buyer's market that we're looking at, especially in the new construction space, and why I think a lot of builders are holding on to using this strategy in DFW. And if you use it the right way, it'll help save you a ton. But if you use it the wrong way, you're going to end up with some serious sticker shock. So I want to make sure that that's not the case. I want to make sure you get the win without getting the craziness that comes without fully understanding this. So if we haven't met before, my name is Zach. My team and I, we sell new construction real estate here in DFW. And I want to kind of help you understand why builders do this and what it means for you as the consumer who's looking to potentially buy a new construction home. So it's no secret, we have seen rates on the interest rate side continue to hover in the high 6s. And when that happens, it makes monthly payments really crazy, right? Let's just be honest, that's what it does. So what builders are doing is they're coming out and they're advertising these 3.99, 4.99 rates or 5.49, and it's like fixed or it's not fixed, and it's at like a 3.21, and it's like how does that all make sense, right? So I want to talk you kind of through all of those pieces and why they're using them as tools to benefit you. So what you'll see oftentimes, and this is in particularly, most of the time you'll see this with quick move-in inventory, right? So anything that the builder can move off of their plate within this quarter, most of the time is you're gonna see these interest rate promos. Now, when you go start looking to actually build from the ground up and you're gonna take 4, 6, 7, 8 months, you're probably not gonna get a rate promo because they can't guarantee what that rate is gonna be. So what they're doing is, first and foremost, you have to understand it's also going to be with their preferred lender. So what the builders are doing is they're getting with either their in-house lender or their preferred lender, and they're putting up a large sum of money to go out into the market and buy access to these lower rates, right? So like Highland Homes, you'll see it on their website. It's like, 4.99 or 5.25 or whatever. They're getting with Highland Home Loans and spending 5, 10, 7, $15 million. And they're putting money into a pool or an access to then come out and get these rates, right? And so there's math, all the math that's involved on how they get to those rates and how it works for you. But I just need you to know they're spending a lot. And the reason builders are doing this is not because they like you guys. The reason they're doing this is because they like selling homes. And if this is what it takes for them to sell homes, that's what they're going to continue to do. And that's why we have seen them continue to offer these sort of incentives over the last 12 to 15 months. And I think until we see rates take a significant dip, we will see them offer this. So you really get into two scenarios. You get into permanent buy down scenarios and you get into temporary buy down scenarios. And I think the temporary buy down scenarios, if you're not careful, are some of those ones that can kind of get you into a little bit of trouble if you don't really understand how all the math is working out. So I'm gonna give you an overview, and then I'm actually gonna show you my screen to kind of work you through some of these numbers. So on a permanent buy down, like it is exactly that. It is permanent for the life of the loan. So you're getting a 30-year note on your loan. So the builder, when they do that permanent buy down, they're locking that rate in at 5.99 or 5.49 or 5.25 or 4.9, whatever it is, they're locking those rates right there. So your principal and interest payment is never going to change until you refinance. So unless you refinance, principal and interest is not going to change on a permanent buy down. Now you'll also see in the fine print on a lot of these builder websites, hey, this is on a FHA loan with this much down, or this is on a conventional loan with 5% down and this much on a credit score. And some of them you'll see, so the term that they use is points. So that's how they're getting to these rates. And what they're actually putting in some places is sometimes the buyer is the one buying the points. So it's like, oh, hey, we can get it to 5.25, and then the buyer is paying for the additional 2 points to get us to the 4.99 or whatever that number is. And so the way math works on points, it's the same across the board. 1 point equals 0.25%, so 0.25 on the rate. 1 point, the cost of a point is 1% of the loan amount. So if you're really simple, if you're getting a loan for $500,000, every point would cost $5,000. So to buy 4 points, 5,000 times 4, $20,000 is what it's costing them to get that rate down. So if you think about market rate being at 6.6, 6.8, and they're advertising a fixed at 5.99, they're buying that a whole percentage point down, right? So 4 to 5 points in some cases. Those are permanent buy downs, and you just got to look at it and see where is the stipulation, kind of like, where do you have to be payment wise, credit wise. Sometimes it's an FHA loan or it's a conventional loan. Sometimes it's a VA loan. And if you're one of our clients that qualifies for a VA loan, and we have a ton of those, that is probably one of the best loan products out there. There's a few more hoops that you have to jump in through, but when you can take a VA loan and stack it against what builders are giving in terms of new construction, we're seeing tons and tons of our VA clients win and come to the table with very little cash out of pocket because they're using the benefit of the VA loan, which is incredible if you earn the right to do that, and they're stacking that on top of the builder incentives, and it's doing some immaculate things. It's pretty incredible. So look at the fine print on, hey, is it FHA? Is it conventional? The biggest things you need to know. First, again, I'm not just giving you guys some general advice. I'm not a lender. My job as a real estate agent is to help you find the home and talk you through it at a high level. Obviously, the lender is going to come in and give you all the big details. So FHA versus conventional, 3.5% versus 5% down minimums. What it's going to do on your PMI and things like that. That's the understanding. So the big one I want to talk to you about is the temporary buy downs. And so what these temporary buy downs are not the adjustable rate mortgages that got everybody into trouble in the early 2000s. So what happened with those on the adjustable rates was they would fluctuate based on the market. So if it adjusted every 6 months, or it adjusted every 10 year, or whatever the term was that it adjusted. So if the market was 3%, it was 3%. If the market was 6%, it adjusted based on market schedule, and that's why a lot of people got in trouble and lost their house, and it was a chaotic thing. What we're talking about here is not that. These are fixed buy downs. So what the builders are doing is they're basically determining, hey, we're going to do a 3-2-1 or a 2-1. And so when you see those numbers, it's the number of years. So like 3-2-1, so 3% the first year, or 3 points the first year, 2 points and then 1 point, and then it's going to stair step its way back up. And there's a very clear number as to what those are going to get to. And now people ask me, like, Zach, well, what should we do? What's the most beneficial? And I would say it really depends on you and your scenario and what you believe about the market. If you're planning on being in the house on a short term, not longer than 5 to 7 years, then taking the temporary buy down really doesn't make sense. Like, you should go ahead and buy it down as low as you can within reason, right? If you're planning on being in the house long term and you think in 3 years the rates are going to be better and that you're going to be able to refi, then you talk about taking the temporary buy down. If you're wanting to stair step your payment, you maybe think about taking the temporary buy down. If you're thinking, hey, in the next 3 years, our expenses are going to go down and I'm going to make more money, then that's an opportunity to look at that. I mean, you just kind of have to weigh it out and see, right? But the biggest thing to understand is it's not an adjustable rate. It is basically like they took the money, and I'm going to show you on the screen here in just a second. It's basically like they took the difference in the payment and set it aside in a savings account, and then they're pulling money from that every month to help make that payment. So I want to show you guys what this looks like on actual numbers so you can kind of get an idea. So let's look at a 2-1 buy down. And we're looking at a purchase price, let's just call it $550. And we're going to do a 2-1 buy down, and you're putting 10% down. We started at the market rate of 6.75. And then we're just going to hit compute and see kind of how this comes up. So I want to show you. So list price $550, 10% down. So your monthly, so PI, TI, so principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. This is kind of what we're calculating is all together at that 6.75 rate is $48.08 estimated. So what's going to happen on a 2-1 buy down is we're buying 2% on the first year, 1% on the second year, and then years 3 through 30 we're back at this 6.75. So at year 1 you're looking at a 4.75 rate for a total monthly payment estimated. This is including your taxes and your insurance, estimated at $41.79. with a monthly savings of $628 a month, or $75.40 roughly a year. So once you make 12 payments here, then you're going to step to here. So you're going to go up a full percentage point, and now you're up to $44.86. So you're going to cut your monthly savings basically in half at $322 for an annual savings of $38.62. And then once you get here, so the banking here is you're thinking by the time this hits, so depending on when you're seeing this video, you're thinking in 3 years, so 26, 27, 28, you're thinking the rates are going to be better and that you can refinance lower than this 6.75, or you're going to be at a payment of $48.08. Now, a good builder sales rep and a good builder lender and a good realtor that understands new construction will talk you through that. Please ask those questions if you're taking that temporary buy down. If we're not working together, and you don't talk through that, please ask those questions, because they need to show you that it's going to increase, and they should be able to. And again, those are estimates, right? Those are not absolutes, they're estimates, but it is going to increase. The lender is going to require you to be able to qualify at the 6.75. So when they're looking at your debt to income ratio, whatever the interest rate is that you qualify for, you're going to have to be able to qualify for that highest rate, and then they're going to show it to you on the step down piece, right? The other thing to understand about new construction and payments, not only is on that temporary, is it going to go up the percentage points year over year. You also have to factor in your insurance cost. On average, we're seeing our homeowners insurance costs rise year over year. And I say this as a homeowner who's bought only new homes. And that's not just only in new homes, but we're seeing insurance costs rise year over year. So you're going to have to factor in for that on your homeowners insurance. You're also going to have to factor in for the rising property tax costs. So in Texas, basically the way that works is every year, whatever county you buy in, Rockwall, Tarrant, Hunt, Collin, doesn't matter, whatever county you buy in, they're going to come out and they're going to give what they call an assessed value on your home. They're going to say, hey, we assessed and we believe your home is worth $505,000. And then from that, they're going to charge whatever your property tax rate is. And that's different based on neighborhoods. Some of the neighborhoods we look at, like in a Rockwall, for example, are like a 1.65 or 1.52 and don't have the muds and the PIDs and things like that. Some of the neighborhoods we look at up north are like 2.4 to 2.6. It really depends. So they're going to calculate, whatever the assessed value is, and then they're going to calculate that percentage, and that's what's going to be your property taxes. And if you're carrying an escrow account, it's going to be carried in your escrow account. And so that's where people get that payment shock, right? Like they're like, oh my gosh, we didn't know our interest rate was going to go, like we didn't know we were on this buy down program, and we didn't calculate that our insurance was going to go up, and we didn't calculate that assuming property values increase, that we're going to have the county saying, hey, come on, give me our fair share. Now we can talk at length about property taxes and how I feel about those, but that's not the case. There are ways to protest it, and of course you file your homestead exemption if it's your, but again, those are all other things that we can talk through, not for this video. But assuming the property appreciates year over year, the county is going to look at you and say, give us our portion, and they're going to raise your property taxes every year. So I don't want you to have that sticker shock on that payment that so many people end up with because they took that temporary buy down and then all of a sudden they didn't know that their payment was going to be super high. The other thing on that to be super important with, and if they're a good builder lender, and the ones we work with are, please make sure when they're calculating your payment, make sure they're estimating for the improved value of the land. So what happens is on the property tax side, depending on when you bought the home, the county, if there's nothing there when they assessed it, all they did was give you the value based on the land. So you end up paying property taxes on $40,000 or whatever they say the land is worth, and then the next year, all of a sudden, boom, there is a structure on that deal, and your property tax goes from $40,000 to $400,000, and all of a sudden your bill went from $1,500 to $9,000 or whatever that is, and then you're short in your escrow account, and you're like, oh crap, we've got to come up with this shortage. So make sure they're giving they're calculating your property taxes based on the estimated value, and just ask your lender to do that. So I want to go back and I want to show you I'm going to show you I want to show you some more scenarios that we want to look at with this. I do want to tell you, if you're looking, like, this is my shameless plug really quick. If you're looking for new homes and you're like not sure where to browse and how to find it, we have a resource on our website. There's a QR code right there. If you're watching this on TV, scan it on your phone. If you're watching this on your phone or tablet, you can find it down in the description below. It's set up directly so that you can browse only new homes. We kind of built that as a resource to hopefully help you if you have questions and you're relocating into Dallas. We've tried to build some tools to help you with the best places to look, some of our favorite neighborhoods. We've got a relocation guide. You can go grab it. Had a ton of people try to use that, and they say it's been super helpful. So I would love your feedback on it. If you grab it, just let me know that is helpful. If you want to browse new construction, it's right there. But I want to show you kind of the other scenarios on this payment thing. So let's go back to it and let me put you guys. Nobody puts baby in a corner, but I put baby in a corner. Okay, so that's the 2-1 buy down. Now let's look at the same scenario on a 550, 10% down payment. Same thing on a 3-2-1 buy down to see kind of where it works itself out. So that first year we're saving $918 a month, and then our $628, and then our $322. So basically you can kind of see if you add these numbers here, it adds up to this number here. So what they're doing is they're putting this money in more or less a savings account that's pulling for the payment to you pay your part of the payment, it pays part of the payment, it matches it up so that it looks like you have a 3.75 or 3.99 rate for that first year, and then it steps its way out, and then year 4 you end up at whatever it is. So 3-2-1, 2-1, 1-0. That's kind of how you understand what those dynamics mean and how it works when you're looking at that on an advertised rate with a builder's lender. Now, of course, we do this in all price points, right? So I want to show you now. Naturally, the higher your purchase price number goes, the more the savings goes up. So if we do this, let's say we go from 550, let's go the reverse direction, and let's go to 350, right? Just out of curiosity to see what it does. Our savings, it's 584, 400, 205 at that 10% down payment. And of course, if we go the opposite direction, so 550 and we go to 750, and you're putting that 10% down payment, $1,200 a month, $857 a month, and then $439 a month. So you kind of get an idea if we're buying, 375, 475, 575, or what we look at is where the builders are saying, hey, we're doing these permanent buy downs, right? So permanent buy down at let's just go back to where we started. We were at 550, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, permanent buy down, 10%. And the new, let's do the interest, let's do 7. So 7 points on that gets us. So I want you to see this number right here. So this $34,000, because what happens is, and I just want to be transparent and open and honest with you, because I want to set the right expectations, and I think that's super important. So actually, can I just come back and do this really quick? I want to set the right expectations. Is it a buyer's market in the new construction space right now? Yes. Are there deals that are happening? Yes. Are we finding the ability to find price reductions, potential closing cost, rates, appliance? In some cases, yes. Are we getting all of those things and cake and ice cream and sprinkles? I want you to be realistic in what you're asking for. So, for example, I'm going to show you this again. So on that $500,000 house, that builder is spending almost $35,000 to get that rate to where it needs to be. So we're asking for $35,000 there, and then we're asking for another $15,000 in closing costs. So what is that? $50,000, and then we're asking for $15,000 or $20,000 in a price reduction, and then we're asking for, and it's like by the time you start adding it all up, you're asking for a lot. I'm not saying you're not going to get it, please, and I'm not saying I'm not willing to try. I just want to be realistic in what we're asking for. So like with this, with those permanent buy downs, that's kind of where those builders are saying, hey, they're going to their lenders and they're fronting $7, $10, $12, $15 million, and those rates have an expiration on them, right? So that's why they only offer them on stuff that they can move quickly, like within the quarter. And you're like, well, I extend longer than that. What happens? And it's like, well, they just don't know what the market's going to be and what that money is going to cost. And so they're only buying them. They're buying so many access tickets at a time. And so that's where it's also one of those things where if you're talking to a sales rep and they're talking to you about this rate and it feels like you're getting pressured and they're like, oh, we're about to run out of money. And you're like, no, you're not. They might be. What they're hearing from their boss is, hey, we spent $10 million and there's $700,000 left before we're out and we have to re-up and buy again. And so the first person that says we're in is going to take the money. And so that's why there's a little bit of urgency on their end. Yes, they have the inventory. And yes, it's like, well, maybe then I'm not going to buy it. Sure. All of those things can be true. But I just want you to know, like, that money, especially on the permanent stuff, is very time is of the essence kind of thing with a lot of builders. And so if you find it, we want to get it. So let me go back and show you again. So on that permanent buy down, that 7 points got us from 675 to 5. We put the 10% down payment. We didn't change anything else. Seller contribution is about $35,000 on that end. That dropped our monthly payment savings roughly $553. So $4,808 to $4,255, and that'll fluctuate again based on what your property tax rate is. So if you have a lower property tax rate, that will knock that down. If you end up with lower insurance, that'll also knock that down as well. On average, we're seeing insurance costs somewhere in the $120 to $180 with most homeowner policies. So that's kind of where we're factoring at right now, more or less, $120, $180 thereabout. So on that $550 purchase price, you're saving an annual savings of $66.39 a year, and that is a locked rate. So we're locked down at that 5% rate, or that 5.25, or whatever we get down to for the life of the loan. And the only way that would change is if you choose to refinance. So same number. Let's do it again at 375, because we were kind of looking at something there. 375, 1, 2, 3, and we'll hit compute. You're just under that $3,000 a month with a 10% down payment. So 375 times 10%, so $37,000 down payment. Now, if you're wanting to do that with this is where I'm also going to give you a hard heart-to-heart, and because again, I want to help you, I really do. And part of me helping you is me setting realistic expectations for you. We help people with every budget. We've got stuff in 300 to 400, and we've got stuff pushing $1 million plus. It doesn't matter. But what I do want you to be is realistic in your payment scenario, right? So if you're thinking, hey, we want a $450,000 house and we only want to put 3.5% down, and we want our total monthly payment to be under $2,500, I need to tell you it's not going to happen. Like there's no way to make that math scenario work with the interest rates, and the way our insurance and our taxes are. There's no way. Now, if we eliminate property taxes, that's a whole other thing. But I need you to be realistic in what you're looking for, so that we can make something work. Because if I go back and I show you, so like that 400, and let's just do it. All right, let's just see where we get to. So 450. I want a $450,000 house. I'm going to put a 10% down, and I'm going to see where my payment gets to. So at 450 at 10%, I mean, we're still. So what's our math on that, guys? So I'm just going to show you to make sure I'm right. So 450 times 0.10, $45,000. I knew that math. I just had to make sure. You're still at almost a $3,500 a month payment. Now, if you're at that same 450 and you're trying to go and you're looking at a 3.5% down payment with the buy down, $3,700. Without the buy down, $4,200. Please be realistic in what you're looking for. If you're trying to get to, and so let's just say you're trying to, let's play with this. Let's back into a number and see what might work. If you're trying to get to that $2,500 a month payment with a minimum down, we need to be maybe right here. Let's test it, right? So test it, and we're getting that buy down to that 5%. We're still 2,600, right? So okay, let's drop it again. So we need to be at, and then we're getting that, same thing. You need to be at 300 to be at a minimum down payment of 3.5%, and getting help from the seller to get our rate down to a 5. To get to that $2,500 a month payment, we need to be roughly at a $300,000 purchase price. That's not going to happen in Frisco, Salina, Melissa, Anna, Rockwall, any of those places. You're going to have to move. You're looking at the outskirts. You're looking at the Farmersvilles, the Princetons, the far sides of Aubrey, the Pilot Points. Like, you're going to be outside a little bit on the outskirts to get to that purchase price. So then it just, we can find it. The areas we can find it in are shrinking, but we can find it. I want to help you. I really do. And part of me helping you is setting realistic expectations, whether you are a client of ours, and I hope we get to have this conversation, or you're just watching this video to grab information. Me not being realistic with you is doing you a disservice. And so if I can be honest with you and set the right expectations of, hey, here's kind of what the payment's going to look like. And yes, we can find the deals. And yes, we can work through all of these rate buy downs. And yes, they're good things and they're not scams. But also we have to be understanding what we're going to ask for, because at the end of the day, they're still trying to make money. How much money is, I can't tell you. I mean, I have guesses, but it's cutting into profit. And that's just the society that we live in. So can we find the places where these things work? Yes, but are they going to happen in popular areas where we're seeing hundreds of thousands of dollars in reductions? Probably not, unless you're buying at the high end and you're working your way down. There's opportunity out there with these built, like I said, you're still looking at great stuff with closing cost help or interest rate buy downs, and we could talk at length about what. And every one of those scenarios is so dependent on what you need and how you want that scenario to work. For me personally, the way we play the game, the way my wife and I have structured the deals that as we've built homes and we've bought homes, the way we look at it, and we've talked about this at length in other videos, and we've broken this down in, with the whiteboard, is I want to be in the deal. I want to control the asset for as little of my money as possible. So if I can do that at 5% down, and it means my payment's a little bit higher, but I held on to more of my money, that's what I want to do. And so I want to talk you through that. Like, hey, how does that work? What makes the most sense? The best way for us to talk through that is honestly like on a phone call or a Zoom call. Whether you're here in DFW or you're trying to come to DFW, I'd love to kind of just walk you through those numbers and show you what's possible and give you the realistic, hey, this is going to work, this is not going to work. Here's where we need to look, and here's the builders we need to look at. Here's the ones we need to avoid. If I can help you with that, as always, that contact information is right there. Call, text, email, whatever you need, I'm here to help. So if you're looking at a short-term deal, I would take the permanent buy down. I think if you're looking more long-term and you have a positive outlook on what the market's going to do, maybe you take the temporary buy down and stair step your way up into that payment. Just know it's going to fluctuate, and I walk you through how it's going to fluctuate. And as your taxes change and your insurance changes year over year, that's going to be added in. And I just don't want you to have sticker shock when those things come up. So here to help any way we can. Appreciate you. I hope you found value in this. If you did, leave me a comment down below. If you like this kind of stuff, as always, this is kind of the content we put out. So subscribe to our channel. And if I can help you in any way, I'm here to help. Appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next time.